Okay, welcome to Lab 8. So, this is the moment that a lot of people in the class have been waiting for. I've gotten a number of questions about people's projects, namely, how can we all work on the same database at the same time and make changes to it? So, this is kind of how you can work with that. You can at least work with the database simultaneously like this because all the changes you've been making up to this point have been local. You need to be serving something in order for other people to see it, or it needs to be hosted in some way in some collaborative cloud environment so that you can work on stuff. An example of that would be like Docs in Google, or Teams has similar kinds of features. Now, um, you're going to go through here and you're going to make an AWS account, and you may be asked for a credit card. Don't worry too much about that. You should be able to give them a debit or a credit card. All of the work that we'll be doing for this lab will be done in the free tier. That's for accessibility. I don't want anyone to get priced out of doing a lab or things like that. We're going to be using very minimal computing requirements. And I think you get something like 60 or 90 days free when you make some of these what are called light sail instances. That is going to be a hosted cloud virtual machine, basically, that you're going to do a lot of work in the console with. And you're going to have basically SSH access. It's basically using a terminal remotely to connect to another terminal in the cloud. So you're going to go in here and you're going to make an account. I'm not going to go through the entire process of this. I would recommend using your Mix address and then whatever password you want to use for the account name. I just did something like CS230 Mike instructor or something like that. So you'll go through that process, and I will go into more depth on AWS in the subsequent videos. There's a little bit of, I guess you could call it, work that we're going to do ahead of time to make our lives easy. So a couple of things that I wanted to note before I get here, though, is in the YouTube link section of Discord, I have a couple of links to some extra tutorials and videos and training and so forth that'll hopefully round out some of the questions that you guys have. It'll hopefully answer some of that that I can't answer in the video, or that I some extra stuff. I know some people are very interested in learning about deployment and cloud stuff. And anyway, so this has a variety of different exercises and videos and tutorials, not just for the stuff we'll be doing, but you can also see using services like Redshift, which is a database platform. You can see some stuff on IAM, which we will be getting to, which is about user access control management. What that is basically security. You give certain accounts or roles permissions, and they have all kinds of machine learning stuff. You can do image recognition. So it's a really, really cool website, regardless of what you may think about Amazon or AWS. They have a lot of services, and it's used by a lot of people, including the US government with their GovCloud stuff. So before we get started with that, though, we need to actually export our database, because we don't want to have to create these tables and everything from scratch and hope that there's no spelling errors or things like that. So we're going to try and make our lives as easy as possible by going to phpMyAdmin and signing in. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the CS230 database as a whole right over here in the left pane. And then we're going to export. I'm going to ignore all of these errors. And I'm basically just going to click go. And what's going to happen is it's going to give me this cs230.sql file. What we're going to be able to do is we're going to basically drag and drop this into our CS230 folder. Now, I already have this in there. I did a little bit of testing before I ran this lab. And one of the errors that I ran into, because what we're going to do now is we're going to push this to GitHub. If you run into this empty file thing, what happened when I did this was I actually had the CS230 database file in there, the SQL file in my CS230 folder. I thought, okay, no big deal. I'll just add it. I'll commit. And there it is. And for some reason, I got this empty object file error. So the easiest way around this is to just rename that current folder, clone a fresh copy from GitHub, and head over to your CS230 repository. You probably don't have as many as I do, but that's fine. Here's the link that you're going to copy. It's the same one that you always use. And then what you're going to do is, I'm going to open a new terminal here. You'll change the directory to your desktop using cd, and you'll do git clone, and you'll paste the link right there. Now, if you didn't rename your repository that's on your desktop, it's going to give you an error. So just remember to do that. I just added a 1. You can add whatever you want just to rename it. And what's going to happen is any changes to any files that you've made, any additional files that you have in the corrupted one, we're going to just drag and drop them into this newly minted one after we do git clone. And as you can see, this is the results right here. So what's going to happen is you'll just change the directory into there. What git fetch does is it just asks GitHub, hey, are there any changes that have been made? I'm going to get those changes. And then my repository is private, which is why I have to do the username and password stuff. And then what I'm going to do here is git status. And what this does is it'll tell me if I'm up to date, if I'm behind the origin master, which is the one on GitHub. And then because I dropped the CS230 SQL file in my CS230 folder that I'm currently in, it's not being tracked yet. I haven't added it. So I did git add, git commit, and then as you can see, the commit is fine. I got this little message right here. And then when I did git push origin master in my case, you guys may be git push origin main or just git push. That would probably work just fine as well. Then it'll go through the process successfully. And as you can see in my GitHub, now I have the CS230 SQL file. Additionally, you can use this add file. You can upload a file. So if that's still giving you a problem, you won't be able to add like the directories, for example, or like all the files that we did in the previous week because there's a lot of assets in there. That I think they cap it at something like 100 files per another student who try this. What you can do is you can just like drag and drop the files, like choose them right here, and then commit the changes, and it'll show up in there as well. So it just depends on what is the best choice for you based on what's working. So that's really all the setup that we need for right now. We're going to, and I'm going to assume that you will have made an account by the next video, so just be sure to do that.